Welcome back, everybody, to Lone Lab Podcast, episode 6. We are back.
Back in the lab.
My name is Jimmy White. I am your host, and I'm with the magical, the mystical, the wonderful.
This is nice.
Mr. James Weber. James.
How we doing, bro?
How we doing, baby?
I'm doing great. Back from Mexico, back in the lab.
Back in the lab. It feels good.
It feels damn good. I feel home.
I do too. It feels good to be back here. Thank you guys for being with us. We are on Lone Lab Podcast, episode 6.
We're cruising now.
We're cruising along, baby, and it's been nice. We had a really great time back in Mexico. Sorry for the audio on the last podcast. It was super windy.
I think it still sounded good based on the circumstances we were given. It was windy as hell. Those mics are nice. Those portable mics. Nothing like the good hardware we got in the lab here, but it worked out.
Yeah, when I was sitting there and like how windy it was, I'm like, oh no, like
I was
how is
freaking
this
out
going
a
to
little
sound?
bit,
But
too.
we have an awesome editor. Shout out Miko. Miko was able to kind of fix up the audio a little bit for us as much as he could do, but it was super windy the day that we filmed. But I hope you guys enjoyed the Cancun Real Housewives of Lone Lab podcast episode. It was fun having them on.
I know the ladies loved it.
They did. They were a little nervous to start.
They were nervous, but now Lauren looks back. She's like, when can I get on again?
Yes,
Let's
we
go.
need some
Bring
recurring
it back.
guests. Speaking of guests, if you're watching, you can see it's just me and Mr. Weber here. And if you're listening, you don't hear the best guest of all time. And I don't think he knew about this recording, and he's just not here right now. And he might be, he's busy. We'll just say he's busy.
He's busy. I think it would be unfair to say that we kept this recording from him. But at the same time, you know, he is the best guest of all time, not the best host of all time. So.
We needed to get an episode filmed, and we just had to get in here and record. So that's why Best Guest is not here. He will be back soon. James, let's get into this episode. We got a lot of great topics. We will do mortgage rates in a minute.
Yep.
We have one lab tested question. Then we're going to talk about our experience about buying and selling homes with us in general, us personally, right? We've been teasing that we've been going through this process, but I think it'd be really nice to have an in-depth conversation about our experience, what's been going on, because I think there's a lot of tidbits that people can take from that.
Yeah, I would argue that many of the people that listen to this are looking for more experiences that they can relate to. We want to teach people kind of what's going on in the market, sure, but also the relatability of two people that have just gone through the selling, the buying, the hoops to jump through, you know, everything like that. You know, I think we've said it a couple times, but anyone that says it's a stress-free process is lying to you. You're buying a massive piece of real estate, right? And if you're selling a home, you're selling one too at the same time. And there's a lot that goes on. Your I's need to be dotted, your T's need to be crossed. It's not easy, but if you have the right team and the right representation, it can go a hell of a lot smoother than you would think.
Yeah, and we're practice what we preach, guys.
Yeah.
We went through it.
We'll give you the details.
Yeah, and it's always nice to go through this that experience and get yourself grounded as loan advisors as well too. So we're gonna have a full in-depth conversation about that.
We will, and as two people that do this every day, two people that advise people on how to do this. We saw it on the other side very recently, and I think we both have a story or two as to how it didn't go 100% perfectly. So we'll dive into that.
Well, before we get into everything, let's do a quick recap of Cancun, man. What a trip.
It was fun. You know, shout out to our mortgage bank Leader One for putting on a hell of a trip, man. We had so much fun. A lot of, I mean, I could like count the amount of clouds that we saw while we were there. The weather was incredible. So warm. A lot of margaritas, a lot of pool time, a lot of sunburn.
We were basically at the pool bar all day.
All day, every day.
Until we had a couple dinners. So we had an award ceremony.
Yep.
Maybe too much pool time before the award ceremony.
Yes.
Went out, did karaoke at one of the clubs in the resort. It was called Desire. My wife hopped on and did karaoke with her infamous song that I absolutely can't stand. It's It's the worst karaoke song. What is it? Wouldn't it be ironic? Like the worst karaoke song of all time. I love my wife.
Isn't it ironic?
I hate that song. We had some other people doing karaoke out there as well. We did a tequila tasting. That was a lot of fun. Again,
that wasn't much of a tasting though. They were just pouring tequila and we were chugging it.
We were at the pool bar all day and then went to a tequila tasting.
Our wives were supposed to go and they didn't. They bailed, but we went. Joe went. Daddy Larkin was there, another one of our colleagues. It was really nice to get to know a lot of the people at the company. We really just see a lot of them on like Zoom calls, right? Or like all company calls, and you don't really get to know people that way. And we had fun with them too. It's not work. These President Club trips that they call the Leader One Club Summit, we're there to have fun.
Absolutely.
You know, like maybe there was a couple different, like, what would you do in this situation types of conversations, like after a couple beers doing, you know, some pitching back and forth, but we were never sitting in a room meeting.
Yeah, there was no this wasn't like
fun.
a conference,
Not
like
at
where
all.
you're learning anything. And you know, being honest from my standpoint, when you see these different people, top producers, of course, we want to be collaborative. But when we're looking at these leaderboards or getting on these calls with these people, you don't really know them, right?
No.
And your competitive spirit comes out and is like, I want to beat that person, right? Like, and that's good. And we all those people at that trip had that. But I think this trip allowed us to break the walls down with people. And like you said, we had fun, and it was awesome meeting all of those different people that were there who were kind of competitors within the company, but they're all across the country. And that was just something that I got from it, that I kind of let my wall down and got to know people a little bit more. And that competitive edge wasn't there.
We talked about this yesterday on a different call we had company wide here at Leader One, but loan officers across the nation don't do a really good job of being on each other's team and complimenting each other. It's always like bashing, right? And competition, like you said, whereas realtors do a great job of that. They refer each other business. They high five when they win. Like, we have a good thing going in our group, and we always have. But like you said, like, you still want to beat the next guy, right? Being able to have those experiences with the top producers in our company, with more of the high fiving and, you know, a couple beers, couple laughs, like, that's the real stuff right there. Like, being able to associate with other people that do this at a very high level and just having fun with them and learning too.
Can we get off topic of the recap real quick?
Yeah.
You mentioned, and we talked about it yesterday on our all company call. Jimmy and I were featured on like a social media all company call, and we talked about this, of how the realtor industry is more collaborative than the loan officer industry. And I was thinking about this, and I don't know if you have the answer, but why do you think that is? Do you think it's just a scarcity mindset across loan originators or loan advisors? Like, what's your take on that?
I do think it's a bit of old thinking, because the average loan officer for so long, average age of a loan officer for so long was like north of 50 years old. It was an industry, same with financial advising, that was full of older people that have been doing it for so long. Now, of course, we've seen the number of licensed loan officers drop, I think, like 80 to 85% in the last couple of years with rates rising. So with that, the strong kind of survive, but it's a lot of younger folks too that saw success during, you know, when we came in the 2015, 2016 run. And then of course, COVID too, when rates were so low. I do think that so many of those older loan officers are either out of the business because they quit or they retired. And that was more of the like cutting edge, head bashing against the wall, super stressed out LO, where we're trying to kind of build a different mantra about this industry as a whole, and maybe be more like our counterparts and the realtors that are more collaborative and nicer to their industry fellows.
For sure. No, that's a great point. And I'm glad we kind of brought that up, a part of our recap in Cancun, because again, I have those moments where I'm like, you know, like I told you, I want to beat the next guy. You're the same way too, but it is nice to get around other high producers and get talking with them and get to know them on a different level. And we did that in Cancun. I don't know. My worst part of the trip probably was the flight in.
You were scared.
I was so scared.
We flew together. It was my wife said it was top 3 worst flights.
You
said worst flight.
It was the worst flight I've ever been on. And it was just turbulence. And you were sitting in front of me, like just sending emails out like nothing was going on.
Dude.
I was like having a panic attack on this flight, man.
Yeah. I sat, Lauren and I had aisle seats in the same row, and then Jimmy and Sydney were right behind us. So I kept looking back and laughing because he was grabbing the seat. I'm like, I think we're going to be okay, man. It was a terrible flight.
It was, and I guess turbulence is like not like that big of a deal.
So one of our colleagues' wives is a flight attendant, and she was like, it's basically like a pothole when you're driving. It's like, well, we were hitting a lot of big potholes.
And I'm telling Sydney, like, can't these assholes drive around fly around the turbulence? Like, I was freaking out. Sydney was trying to like talk to me. I know. But that was probably worst part of the trip for me. But
worse than the flight home?
Yes.
Dude, we upgraded first class for free on the way home. It was so necessary. It was incredible. Like, I was just a broken man, so sunburned. Like watching movies, they fed me a meal. I was like, okay, I don't know if I would have lived otherwise.
Oh man, yeah, the flight home. It was. I mean, well, you guys left
Saturday,
and you were out at the pool bar in the morning before the flight.
Damn right.
You kind of just parlayed it right into the trip home. I had a nice night of sleep. Actually, we went out on Saturday, so no, I didn't. Well, I wasn't feeling too bad on Sunday, to be honest.
My swan song was giving you the bottle of Vouv that was gifted to me that we didn't drink. So I had a bottle of champagne sitting in our room. Like, I'm bringing this down to the pool, man. It needs to get, someone's going to drink it.
Oh man. Well, it was it was an awesome trip, and we were really glad to be able to film over in Cancun as well too. And we're gonna make it next year on the trip, and we're gonna do this again. And like we said, we're podcast rookies, so we were just kind of flying by the no pun intended, flying by the what do they say? Pants of our seat of our pants.
Seat of our pants.
Flying by the seat of our pants.
Yeah.
And it turned out very well, and it was fun.
It did. I mean, we had that great idea of filming in Mexico and thinking like this is going to be some great production. We'll do it at the pool bar. That would have never worked, right? No. So we were kind of flying by the seat of our pants, but all things considered, it turned out great. We were in that private cabana that Joe and Tony had got for the division. Man, was it awesome.
It was an awesome
Right
day.
On the beach. Like it worked out so well, and we got to film. So all things considered, it was incredible.
It was awesome. It was awesome. So we had a blast, and thank you guys for tuning in and listening while we were over there. We wanted to do that.
It's a fun episode for us, so I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Super fun. Super fun. All right, back to work.
Yeah, back to work.
Mortgage rates in a minute.
Mortgage rates in a minute.
What's going on?
I say it every time, and I'll continue to say it because it's a cop-out saying that it's volatile right now. And it still is, but I feel like we've reached a little bit more of a stagnant level because we still have Trump going at Jerome Powell, who's the Fed chair. Trump wants lower interest rates. Jerome Powell doesn't. So the most recent PPI and CPI, which essentially are just your inflationary reports on a much higher level, are showing a little bit of signs of a weakening economy, which mortgage rates like that. But at the same time, at the end of last week, we saw what was considered kind of a random sell-off in the bond market, which really hurt mortgage rates for a couple of days. And we didn't recover really until kind of yesterday from getting back into that level where mortgage rates were an average 30-year fixed mortgage rate was, again, below that 7% range. So we're still fighting in, like, let's say that 6.875 to your 7%, 7.125 on your average 30-year fixed mortgage. Of course, like we spoke about last episode or 2 episodes ago, there's some jumbo financing with adjustable rate mortgages. That's more in the private sector. You're going to see some lower rates with that. Different first-time home buyer grants and products that have a little bit lower rates. But again, your average 30-year fixed mortgage is still in that high 6 mark.
Yeah, don't know when that's going to change either. I mean, we'll have to see by the end of this year, hopefully going lower. But as you said, just a lot of different things, a lot of moving parts going around in not only the United States economy, but the world economy, which directly affects us as well too.
Well, yeah, I mean, the tariff news, right, when that all came out, it absolutely slammed the stock market. So mortgages rallied for a bit very shortly. And what we said would happen. That was just a flight to safety, but it wasn't sustainable because inflation is actually really bad for bonds, and tariffs were seen as very inflationary. So then the stock market was getting its ass kicked. The bond market was getting its ass kicked. We didn't really see anything in sight. Then Trump peels back the tariffs. Then there's some trade deals going on, right? There's some not only peeling back of the tariffs, but then pushing it out with the big player, China, right? That's really helped mortgage rates in the short term here too. So if he or I have any advice, it's like we always say, you can't time the market. That's always true. But the second thing is, I mean, just check CNBC in the morning, see what's going on, because these headlines right now are everything.
They are. Yeah, so we'll keep you guys posted every single episode. I know it's been a little bit boring, mortgage rates in a minute, and that's not because of you, James. It's just because
we just don't have any fire. The biggest thing that we have is the tariffs. But again, he peeled them back. Like, it was almost like Trump was testing the elasticity of the market. The stock market got hammered so bad, major corporations were getting margin calls. They were probably calling him like, Mr. President, what's going on here?
No doubt.
And Trump doesn't want to see the stock market sell off like that. I mean, come on.
No way. So I said boring, and we've mentioned this, it's been boring with interest rates, but that's good.
Yeah.
We like that.
No, we've been asking for the kind of a stagnant market. We want to see a range. We want to stay in that range because it's easier, it makes our job easier to be able to formulate that opinion for clients as to why it's a good idea to buy, because things are kind of sitting still right now.
For sure.
It's a lot tougher when mortgage rates go down and then 2 months later they're higher. When that person that was pre-approved at 6.375 is then buying at 6.875, they're then scratching their head. Maybe they're not as confident. Those are the problems that we deal with every day.
The fireworks that we want to see is mortgage rates going lower. Slowly. But if anything happens, we will keep you guys posted. Mortgage rates in a minute, baby. James, you're getting good at that, bro.
Every episode. Let's go. Episode 6.
Episode 6. Okay, next segment, favorite segment of the podcast, we have lab tested questions.
Easily the best, dude.
These are the best. We keep saying it. Please send in lab tested questions. We love the funny ones. We love the serious ones. We need you guys to keep sending in questions. This is a way for us to interact with you. And this is my favorite segment by far.
By far. But before we start, there's no questions about the Bears schedule release.
We need to do a prediction.
We'll save that for the end of the episode.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Okay.
We're going off the cuff too. We'll pull up the schedule and go.
I was doing it last night.
I was too. You said 17-0 when you texted me though, so we'll have to be a little bit more realistic.
We'll do a schedule release prediction at the end of the episode for the Bears. Lab tested question. This is anonymous. Kind of a pretentious. Is pretentious the right word? Contentious, but I get why they're asking. Why do lenders? It's contentious.
Yeah.
I don't know my words today. Lab tested questions. Why do lenders ask for so many damn documents, especially if my credit score is very good and I have money in the bank?
Well, long story short, we have to adhere to Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae who securitize these mortgages. So there's guidelines that we have to abide by. Now, if someone has a perfect credit score, they're a W-2 employee, and they have their assets, we can now use our technology to basically automate all of that. But you're still going to be asked for a photo ID, probably a bank statement if we can't pull your assets through our automated system, and then maybe a pay stub and a W-2 as well. But that's the most that we would ask for in that type of situation when someone's a quote unquote perfect borrower. Unfortunately, we can't just look at your credit score and say, oh, it's 800, here's a loan. We have to play by the rules.
I'm going to take this quote from one of our colleagues, Joey Myers. He made a video about this, and he mentioned, there's three things, and we've talked about this, three things that you look at to get approved for a loan. It's credit, cash, and income, right? Yep. But Joey said it this way, and I'm stealing it from him, is that those three pieces are like jigsaw puzzle pieces, right? And they all need to fit together.
Yeah.
Perfectly, I guess not perfectly, but in a way that they fit together so that everything looks good and that works. So
the missing piece of that's the collateral too, right? What I mean by that is it's the home, because the home needs to appraise at or around, we've talked about that, the purchase price. And there needs to be clear title, right? Like that doesn't come in at the pre-approval, but that's another jigsaw puzzle piece they have to work in there to ensure that, hey man, we can write this loan, or there's something really wrong. There's a hole in the roof. Everything else looks great, but the house that you're trying to buy, there's a hole in the roof.
I love that.
We can't do this thing.
Yeah, that's another part of another piece of the puzzle. Here's the thing with asking for documents is first and foremost, me and you, Jimmy, we don't want to make this harder than it needs to be.
We're never going to ask for more than what we need. And you and I, having, over a decade of experience in this field, we're both pretty liberal with the pre-approval process. If you tell me that you have a $120,000 salary, I'm going to take that as the gold standard, because if you lose your job, obviously you lose that income. If you get a raise, you get more income. Now, eventually to get the loan, we'll have to pull a verification of employment to nail that down. And we're going to need a pay stub too, to show that you can actually support that income. But if you're filling out the application, you're signing that this information is real, that you're a salaried employee. I'm taking that, like I said, that's it, right? That's what you get paid. Very different than if you're self-employed. We need to see those tax returns, right? Because you're only paying taxes once a year, like everyone does. But when you're paid on a W-2, those taxes are withheld on each and every paycheck. So we need to find out your taxable income.
Yeah, Jimmy kind of alluded to this. You did, Jimmy, about there's different technology and systems that we use where we don't need as much documentation. I mean, right. I have a loan going right now where it's called Rep and Warrant.
Yeah.
For you guys listening or watching, Rep and Warrant is basically the system took the application information from the clients. So they filled out the application online. They took that information, and the system who approves these loans, Freddie Mac is who it was, said, hey, this is repped and warranted based on how they filled out this application. We actually don't need any documents to verify this.
Yeah, and I would assume that they work for a corporation, right?
Yep.
So that information is readily available with what we call a borrower certification and authorization that's signed when they fill out the application, which gives us then the intent to proceed to work on their loan, the intent to work on their behalf, I should say, where we can go and see if we can get essentially the verification of their income for them. That way they don't have to send W-2s. They don't have to send pay stubs.
Or bank statements in some cases as well, too. There's automated systems.
There's income reps and warrants and asset reps and warrants. If you got both, you're good. You really just need driver's license.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's basically what we have in the file. It's a super easy file. We love those. The clients love them. There's other cases though, like you alluded to, is you're self-employed. Like you're never going to get a rep and warrant on a self-employed borrower.
There's no way.
Ever. It's impossible.
No, not unless the tax system changes drastically, and that's not gonna happen anytime soon.
So the reason for documentation being requested is in specific scenarios, we have to vet that application and how it was submitted with documentation to back it up.
Yeah, it needs to be confirmed essentially.
You're saying you make $100,000 a year, but you're self-employed. We need those tax returns to make sure that that is accurate. That's not any.
How many times have you seen that? I mean,
so many times,
countless times. Someone self-employed comes in and says, "I make $100,000 a month," and they might in AGI in gross income, but then they're paying the salaries of their team. They've got the cost of goods sold. There's so much that goes into it,
and that's not the client's fault
not
either.
At all. No.
That's just the way the mortgage world works. I get why this question was asked. It can seem frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Us, like we said, we're never trying to make anybody do more work than they need to. And we've built our business that way with our systems, with our people that we have to make sure that, hey, we're just getting what we need, but it's never to cause any more work for anyone. We don't want more paperwork.
No, we don't. But remember, we use when qualifying gross income, which it often will surprise people how much they qualify for on paper, and it'll confuse them too. What I tell people is we can't discriminate on tax bracket or withholdings. Two people that both work for Microsoft with the same salary, one has a little baby, the other has 10 kids. The guy that's got 10 kids is going to have more withholdings. There's going to be more sent to his bank account from his paycheck. But they have the same gross income, technically speaking. Right. So there's a lot that goes into that, but that's why we use the gross income. We need to, for a self-employed person, still find that taxable income, which is very different than, their gross income.
No doubt. And there are some, there's loans out there where you don't need any income docs.
No.
We've talked about this.
I'm doing one right now for a client.
Yep. So there's different scenarios that require different documentation requests. Again, last thing on this is we're not trying to make anybody's life busier, harder.
No,
when
our
it comes
jobs
to
are made
mortgages.
easier when the client does what we ask. And we're not going to ask the client to do more in an effort to make things difficult for everybody.
Correct. Great lab tested question. We appreciate
sure.
it. And thank you. Again, favorite segment. Keep bringing those in. We need more. We'd love to have as many as possible.
No doubt. Always the best.
All right, let's get into the main topic. I think we should kind of start and parallel our whys and our stories from the beginning. And let's start with, when did you guys start looking to buy your new house? And I'll give mine after as well too, and the why behind it. And I know we've kind of talked about it, but let's just recap that.
We started doing what I call window shopping. That's the Zillowing and Redfining of the world. Last fall, we knew for certain we weren't going to move in the winter. We had a lot of stuff going on in our personal lives, with a baby and, with my wife and her diagnosis. So we weren't going to move yet, but Lauren was looking at Zillow every single day. Things really started to go faster once we got through the holidays and once we got, some really good news with regards to her health and everything that was associated with that. It just felt like it was time for a fresh start. So once we got into 2025, those searches became a little bit more intense. I remember going to see some homes when there was snow on the ground. We didn't place any offers or anything at that time, but that's when we really started ramping it up. I would say like February of 2025.
When you bought your place in the city, this one that you have, Jimmy has this place that is closing next week, right?
Yeah.
Selling?
Yep.
And then he also has a 2-flat, correct?
Yeah.
That he has as a rental, but Jimmy's been a city boy. He's been a city boy for forever. Did you ever see yourself leaving the city?
Man, when we bought the house on Maplewood, I thought that was the forever home, and so did Lauren. We thought that we'd be there forever with multiple kids, which it's a nice house that space wasn't the issue, right? Like we could have raised a family there. Hell, we had Julia there for quite some time, or more than her first year of her life. We still love the city. Things have changed in the city, right? Like we lived in Bucktown, West Bucktown. It's a nice area, but you're still kind of close to what we would consider some not so nice areas. Working in Oak Brook for 10 plus years, I was really sick of driving through bad neighborhoods to get home. I could take 290 east all the way to the Kennedy and then get on the highway and make it an easy drive, or I could get off at Western or Sacramento and then have to drive through the West Side to get up to our house. And before it was fun. Then we had a daughter and I was like, do I really want to do this anymore?
Yeah.
It became evident quickly.
For sure. For sure.
What about you?
Actually, I think the first offer we put on a house was back in November of last year, October. So
okay.
so you
get a longer road.
We did, yeah. We put an offer in on a house contingent on the sale of our home, which we'll talk about.
I remember this now, actually.
Thank God we didn't get the house because the one we're in, we love.
Way better.
It's just, it's crazy how that works out. And I always tell people, like, it's not meant to be. And I truly believe that. But yeah, we started, I would say, right when football season started last year, of just doing the window shopping.
But you guys were still throwing your Sunday bangers in your old house.
Oh, yeah.
You guys, I mean, if the Bears were away, you were throwing a party.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
If you were home, you were going.
We weren't necessarily like going on showings, right? We were just
looking around.
Homes were popping up. We were doing window shopping. And then, we actually missed out on 2 homes. And again, thank God, being contingent on the sale with our offers. So yeah, this house that we bought first, it was beautiful, enough space for the 2 girls and Sydney and the dog. Location was just not where we wanted it to be.
Okay. Where is that home in relation to where you now live?
So it's
one neighborhood over to.
It's one neighborhood over, but in Manhattan, Illinois, which is where I sold my home. Yeah. And no offense to anybody listening who lives in Manhattan, but I'm going to say it's the sticks to me. It's out in the sticks. It's a bit of a country town. It's turning into more developed as time goes on, but it was definitely way south.
First home for you guys because you moved in with your young family to be closer to people in like New Lenox area, right? Basically.
Yes.
In Frankfurt.
Yes. Moved closer to family. When I moved from the city with Sydney and she was pregnant, we had to decide, hey, do we go closer to my family in Rockford, which is way up north, or do we go closer to her family? We had to go down south because my wife's a salon owner. I think I've mentioned that. Yeah. But she wasn't at the time, but she had a book of business that was in the south and she couldn't just
uproot that.
No, you can't do that. I can work anywhere. Sure. So we bought the home and we did have a 5-year plan on the home. We wanted to, upgrade or move to a better area location wise.
Do much work to that house?
We did. We put a bar in the basement. Yep. That was like the big project.
Yep.
Financially, and then also just like the amount of work that we did.
Oh, it's huge.
Didn't knock down any walls, but definitely did some painting, added some landscaping in the backyard. So we did. I mean, I dumped some money into it, which was good. And it was nice. It was awesome. But we just wanted to move basically just for location and based on our timeline and our plan and where we wanted to really settle down.
Moving a little bit more north was always part of the plan. In other words, yeah. Okay.
Always. So yeah, that was kind of the why behind it. Both of us left our really low interest rates.
Yeah.
And got out there and started searching. Let's kind of shift gears about like pre-approving your own loan. So a lot of people ask me this, can you originate your own loan?
You can't.
Now, what does so for those out there, originating is basically the person, the advisor who is working on the loan from a origination standpoint. How can I say this, James? Like, what would you describe that as?
Well, they are the one that quite literally puts pen to paper on the 1003 or what's called the loan application. So the initial and the final, they're signing off that they're making that loan.
We cannot do our own loans. I guess I'll say that in layman's terms. We can't be on the originator on paper on that. Our companies did do our loans though.
Yeah, and I mean one of the reasons that we got our home was that the listing agent that listed the home I now live in, I've worked with that individual before multiple times. She recognized me at the time of going into the open house and everything. She knew the loan was good. Right, because we had it handled. Not only because I'm in the mortgage industry, but that she knows our team could do it, right?
No doubt.
There was no question about whether that, the financing was solid or not.
One thing I want to bring up when it comes to, our companies doing our loans is we have to get our loans underwritten by the head of credit risk analysis. Is that G's actual title?
Yeah.
Head of credit risk analysis for the whole company.
I think he's at the C-suite technically too, like chief credit analyst or something. So our loans are underwritten harder than anybody else's. And
the reason that is because there is no, and I'm going to cuss, fuckery when it comes to messing with employees' loans and making, if you're not qualified, fudging the numbers. Like Greg G, he's the man, C-suite, head of credit risk analysis. He kills deals. He says deals are good to go. And he's the one who has to underwrite these loans to make sure that there is no, again, last time I'll cuss, probably not, fuckery going on with these loans.
There can be no foul play with those. They're under the microscope for a good reason, because technically speaking, like kind of what you're alluding to, things could be changed pretty easily or quickly, like, a couple keystrokes in the file, whereas you never do that for someone.
We have no access to our file.
Yeah, exactly.
No access to our file. It's very strict, and it should be, and I'm glad that they do it that way. It's actually very nice. So that's kind of how our process went from a loan or pre-approval standpoint, even though we could know what we're pre-approved for, right? It just needs to get checked off by the head credit risk analysis of the whole company.
Yeah, it's funny. We always talk about being proactive on this thing. I ran my own numbers.
I did too.
I didn't actually, I didn't get a pre-approval letter really at any point. We just wrote it up when it was time to offer.
Right.
Because we knew the loan was good based on me knowing what the hell I was doing with my numbers and my finances. I was doing that part of it for myself. Then I just turned it over to Tony, and you turned it over to Joe to get the thing done when it was time to get it done.
Yep. No doubt. So, okay. I thought that was great, and just wanted to get that out there. Like I had a lot of people ask me that question, like, do you do your own? How does it work?
Yeah.
And it's a nice system that they have here at Leader One, and grateful we have it, and we were able to get the loans done and closed. Let's talk about shopping around for homes, how we had to structure offers, the competitiveness. I'll start. I had a little bit different scenario than you. I did need to be at one point contingent on the sale of my home. So what that means is I had enough money in general to put a down payment down onto a new home. I would have had to tap into some things that I did not want to tap into from a retirement standpoint or asset standpoint.
Sure.
I could not qualify for the new home that I wanted to with just my sole income while holding on to my existing mortgage.
Right.
I was running into a debt to income ratio problem. That's why the first few homes, the ones that we didn't really
you were
in love with,
offering with the contingency.
We wanted to be contingent on the sale of our home, which means I put in an offer. I said, hey, I want to buy your place, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, but I want to make sure that I can get my home listed and sold before I actually buy your new place. It was tough. And I got 2 offers rejected.
Those offers, unfortunately, are often going just right to the bottom of the pile. Right to the bottom of the pile.
Yep.
I say unfortunately because there was a time when that was very normal. Selling a home and buying a home, and both closings happening on the same day. You've got the moving truck in front of your house. You're moving out, moving to the new house. It goes on and on, right? Like, that sounds pretty stressful, but that was actually the norm. 2 closings in one day. You get your money, you wire it to the buy side escrow or the title company, and you're good to go. Now, with all the competition, multiple offer situations, if a seller sees that you have a home to sell prior or concurrently with the home that you're trying to buy, their home, they don't like that. It's risky for them.
Super risky.
Right? I mean, what happens if the sale of your home falls through? What happens if you don't get any offers at all? Right? It's a gamble.
And we saw that in our search. And like I said, we had 2 offers rejected because of it.
Yeah.
Luckily, I am in the mortgage industry and have access to some very cool products. And I'm not going to get into this product in depth, but basically we have a loan product that's called the Buy Before You Sell, which provides solutions for people like me, whether it's a debt to income ratio problem of holding on to 2 different mortgages, or you might need to tap into that equity of your home before you even sell it as well too. I was able to utilize this Buy Before You Sell home program and was able to provide a very strong offer on the home that we fell in love with that was non-contingent, and ended up getting it under contract, which was pretty amazing. I got it under contract, the new home that I was buying, literally listed my home the day after, and was fortunate enough to
get offers right away
and get my existing home under contract.
Yeah. The buy before you sell, guys, it's intricate, but if you are out there and you're facing that same situation, constantly feeling like you're putting your head in your palms, like, how do I do this? Contact us, right? Like, we don't love the call to actions on this podcast. That's not why we do this, truly. But there's a lot of people in similar situations that need to move. Like, we kind of both wanted to move.
Sure.
Other people need to move, but they also need to sell their house. We have solutions where you don't need to sell that house first and you can get into that new house. really, it's just the flexibility is incredible.
It got us a home that we wanted. And
you're now in your house.
Practice what we preach.
Right.
Like I did not use that program because right away, because like you said, we were kind of more in a want to move scenario.
And
but when
I
found
a little bit more passive probably too.
Correct.
If we lose, it's not the end of the world where
Correct.
you're like, you saw this house, you're like,
I need to get it. How do I do it?
I want to win.
Yeah. So that was it was awesome getting under contract. Tell James, give your kind of search getting under, like how competitive it was. Kind of give me the scoop on that.
So we knew that we were going to buy our new home before we sold our existing one, which if you look at it from a flexibility standpoint, that's great, right? But it wasn't all roses. The buy side was super simple. We knew that the loan was good. We knew that it was going to be fine. But then the sale side for our city home, which we thought was like, one of the diamond in the roughs of the neighborhood, a single family home on a beautiful block. Yes, we got multiple offers right away. Yes, we got a ass-kicking offer above ask, but that unfortunately fell out because we had some cold feet from those buyers. So then we had to go back to market. And when you go back to market after being under contract, people start to scratch their head and ask why. So it puts us in a tougher situation. Don't regret accepting that first offer because it was so good in comparison to like what we ultimately ended up getting. Now, we ended up selling at list, right, which was great. That's what we wanted eventually to do, but that over ask offer was super shiny. It was like, holy, we didn't think that we were going to make this much money on the sale, but it fell through. And it almost seemed like it was too good to be true. And it was a bit of a slap in the face of like a come to reality moment where even though you do this every day and you have this flexibility and you know what you're doing, it's not going to go perfectly and everyone has to jump through some hoops.
Without a doubt. Yeah. And we're sharing this, everybody who's watching and listening, is we are just two normal dudes like you guys out there.
Right.
We don't have any sort of magic wand that we can make this happen. We can make that happen.
You only control what you control.
Yep.
I've got my ass kicking, one of my best buddies, Sintich, who's also my realtor. And then another one of my really good buddies, Themis Catris, is my attorney. So we've been like putting our heads together thinking like, what's next? How do we get, like, we were always game planning for the next thing, but I'm used to having more control over these transactions. I kept telling them like, if this were my team, and they're like, dude, we don't have the luxury of working with your team here, right? Like this, you're selling the place. So let's get this done. Let's put the best foot forward. Eventually, of course we did. We're closing next week, finally.
Love it.
Yeah.
And congrats to you. I know this has been a long road for you guys. Not like anything crazy, right? When it comes to, it's the emotional up and down is really what it is.
Well, we literally touched down in Mexico, got in the car, popped a Dos Equis, we were having fun, and then got the news that, the contract had fallen out. And I was like, oh, man, like we just got on vacation. Now we got to scramble. Again, it's all going to work out, but the timing's not always perfect, guys. You could think that everything is, the stars are aligning and you might still have to jump through a hoop and pull out your fastball.
It's crazy how stressed we got over this when we do this all day, every day. And again, such a great grounding moment for me and you to go through this.
Dude,
and
life happens
selling a home,
every day in general.
Have you sold a home before?
That was my first time.
We were first time home sellers, dude. And like it was,
because we held our Wicker Park place when we moved to Maplewood.
Yep.
Which was great from that flexibility standpoint too. And we talked about parting with the interest rate. Even though I didn't have to sell that home before buying this new one, the liquidity event was too good to pass up.
Yeah.
That was too good to pass up.
For sure.
The interest rate was so crazy low. Yeah, sure. It was also a little bit tougher to rent a single family home in the city than my other property. But yeah, was it painful to leave that 2.625% mortgage rate in the dust? Absolutely. But the moving the family was a lot more important. Right.
Again,
I mean, that's why you guys did it too.
100%.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to when it's financially fit for you as well too, right? We're not dumb. We're not overstretching what we're buying.
It just so happened that we did it at the same time, which is great for the podcast and the content. But that just was happenstance. Like we're just normal dudes, like you keep saying.
Definitely.
Needed to move our families.
We had to. Yep. Or we wanted to, but had to as well. You're talking about.
It becomes a need when you want something really bad.
It does. That's a good quote. You're right. Speaking of moving, let's just talk about that.
Sucks.
The worst, dude.
You had movers. I had
worst.
movers. The movers themselves were awesome.
Yeah,
they
amazing.
Did a great job.
Of course.
And yes, it costs money, but moving, guys, get movers if you can. Getting settled is a different story. We might not be settled in this house for another 6 fucking months.
We text almost every day. I mean, we talk every day, but like every other day, it's like, how's it going? And it's the same thing. Fucking sucks.
Sucks, dude.
There's boxes laying everywhere. My daughters have, ran through all of the toy boxes. Like, we're trying to get settled, and I'm trying to take it day by day. I was out in my garage looking for my cast iron skillet last night that was packed away.
Oh my God.
At 11:30 at night.
So relatable,
dude.
I was doing the same thing.
Like I wanted to cook a first meal the other day. I could not find the fucking cast iron skillet. And last night I'm like, I'm on a mission. I'm going through every box in this garage and I'm going to find where it's at. And I was up until 11:30 finding it. I found it though.
Dude, I left behind Fresh Market, which is now called Agora Market in Bucktown on Western. Probably the second best butcher in the city that I've been to. Paulina Meat Market, which is like, Chicago famous, but the beef at Fresh Market is incredible. So I'm like, I'm trying a new butcher now that I can't go to my, the place that I went all the time to get my steaks. There's a place in Western Springs that's incredible. So went there, was like, I'm going to cook my first steak in the new house. Can't find my cast iron. It's in the garage somewhere. I knew it. I couldn't find it though. So you found it. I didn't find mine. So I couldn't make that steak yet.
Well,
Still haven't.
I found it but I cooked on the
next day.
No, I cooked the day before. So like I was looking for it. Sydney's like, I want steak. Like I've been hyping it up. I'm gonna do some pasta with it too. I'm like, I can't find this, Sid. So I had to do it just on a pan.
Need to finish it with the cast iron, baby.
I know. So yeah, the moving has been a ride.
It's tough.
And we'll be moving in, like you said, for the next 6 months.
It doesn't end.
Trying to take it day by day, like room by room, basically. Like I'm glad I have some like clothes.
Yeah, I'm settled from that point. But we were talking about before we got in here, like Lauren's got a Crate and Barrel, air quote, consultant coming in for a free consultation. They're just going to have us spend a shit ton of money on furniture. But I'm also like, just do it for me, please. Like at this point, just make it look pretty.
Exactly. And then we didn't knock any walls down, each one of us, but we did some new flooring and some new paint.
Yes.
Guys, probably always expect some new paint somewhere in the house whenever you're buying a new place, unless it's like a new construction or like that new, I don't know if the all white is like trendy, like the new, more
it's
modern
not as much
look.
as it was, but we talk about making home a lot and how that costs money. We just went through it. It costs a lot of money.
Yeah, it does.
Doing floors, paying the movers, painters, like I don't mind sharing with you guys, like that costs $10,000 easily.
We were the same with
very quickly.
We were the same with the floor and the paint for the whole house as well too. I think it's like a 3,000 square foot house. So hopefully we're not trying to like pocket watch over here. We're trying to provide like, these are some expenses if you want to do it and you want to prepare.
It's why we don't recommend to spend every single dollar you have on your down payment and closing costs, because you're going to move. There's going to be things that happen. You can't call your landlord anymore when the water heater goes out, right? Like that's part of homeownership.
No doubt. It's nice to get into the new places though.
Oh, I live 10 minutes away from the lab.
It's awesome.
I'm going to come to the lab every single night.
Let's go. Do some one-on-ones for the lab. Maybe some promos. You can do some promos.
Yeah, I will.
But we're super blessed and grateful to be in the spots that we are. It was fun going through it with you, man. And it's funny how our stories align up.
I love that I had you because you're one of my best buddies. And I'm like, dude, how's it going? Like I was almost hoping you'd be like, oh, it sucks. I'm like, this sucks, man. Like, give me a little bit of relatability here.
It's been fun going through it with you, and maybe I know we're gonna get together, do some cookouts and stuff. Maybe we'll kind of talk about that.
Well, now we live so much closer to you too,
which is nice.
And that's the problem. One of the problems we had with the city too. Like my parents lived on the south side. I lived in Bucktown. It was like a 14-mile drive, but you're always facing traffic. It would take my parents an hour to get home facing the Kennedy and the Ryan. Now it's like 20, 30 minutes for them to get home, maybe 40 sometimes. And that's what you're cruising, right? Like it's just an easier trip, similar to us now, right? Like Frankfurt to me and LaGrange, it's just right down LaGrange Road.
Right up LaGrange,
yeah,
baby.
It's nice and easy. So we'll be able to get together a lot more, which will be fun.
Again, we wanted to share with everybody because we go through it with all of you. We are normal dudes. We go through the ups and downs. And anytime you have any questions about even stuff that doesn't have to do with like loans, like you can always reach out to us.
Too.
Yeah.
Why did moving suck so much? I mean, we of course detailed it, but there's a lot more.
For sure.
For both of us. So I'm always willing to share that kind of stuff.
Well, good stuff. Congrats on
you too, man.
Getting to the closing table on both, and excited to make some new memories with each other and
Onto
our families.
The next chapter,
and
fresh start.
Houses. And that's
turning the page, all the cliches, but like it's
true.
I feel like so much better now. I really do.
No doubt. Awesome, man. So
let's get to the real important stuff.
Super important. Today is May 15th. Yeah. Yesterday was May 14th. It was the official Bears 2025 schedule release. We are going to do our predictions for the 2025 Chicago Bears regular season schedule. If you're listening at home, jot it down because these are going to be...
This is all going to happen.
This is going to happen.
Let's do a quick ground rule for this. If we agree, win or loss, we don't talk about it.
Okay.
Oh, that's a win. Great. I mean, maybe we could be like, Monday Night Football, whatever. But if we disagree, we'll get into it.
I love it.
Because this could take an hour.
I love it. I love it. Let's do it. Let's start with week 1, Monday Night Football at Soldier Field. Are you going to be there?
I'm going.
I'm going to be there as well. I will not miss this game.
That's a win
W.
Because it's Ben Johnson coming out, his coming out party in
Primetime
Chicago.
Caleb.
Primetime Caleb. And facing J.J. McCarthy's not a rookie, but it's his first time he'll ever touch an NFL field in Chicago. He's from the Western Burbs. There's going to be a bunch of his family there. He's going down. It's a win.
That's a W.
Yes.
That's a W.
We'll move to week 2, which is at Detroit, Ford Field, which is a tough place to play.
I think it's a loss.
I don't love that either. I think that's a loss.
I think it's a loss.
I think we lick our wounds and move on 1-1 after 2 weeks, then heading to what will be America's Game of the Week.
In Soldier Field.
Dallas.
Week 3, Sunday, 9/21. It's going to be a 3:25 game Central Time. The return of Eberflus. Before we make our predictions, my dad texted me yesterday about this game and said, I'm going to be on the fucking field booing Eberflus on that game. It's a revenge game for Eberflus.
Yeah, I wish I could have like something in his ear booing him.
I don't necessarily hate him like that.
No, he's where he should be in the defensive coordinator position. That guy is defensive gurus thrown around all the time. I wouldn't say that, but he's a damn good defensive coordinator.
This is he definitely is. He definitely is. This is a W for me.
This is a win for me too, because the Cowboys, man, they historically don't play well at Soldier Field. Now I know it's not cold out or anything yet. It's September 21st, but I think the Bears win that game.
A little bit of trash talk between CeeDee Lamb and Jaquan Brisker on Twitter I've been seeing too. Yeah. So I think this is going to be a hype game.
They've been going at it.
That's a W. We're at 2-1 right now with the loss to Detroit. And I'm sorry, guys. I'm just making sure I can total this up after.
Heading into Vegas, then, which I know Mr. Gabrione's going to this game.
Is he? Yeah. Awesome.
Bears at Raiders, 3:25, Sunday, 9:28. It's a win for me because I think the Raiders suck.
This is a W. Yeah. Raiders suck. Who's even there? Who's their Gino? Gino's not bad.
No, he's a serviceable quarterback. And I think the only reason he's there is because Pete Carroll is the new coach. So you got a new head coach over there too.
They got our boy Genty over there as well. Max Crosby, I guess too. But I think this is a W. Into week 4, that's 3-1.
I know, and that's maybe a little too rich, but 3-1 into the bye, man, would be incredible. Because the Bears have a very early bye, week 5.
Week 5 bye. That is, I've been seeing a lot of things on the internet, and I agree. I think that's pretty not cool by the NFL.
No, I think it was the last 2 years the Bears had one of the later buys, right? Or no, last year it was right after that Commanders game, so it was relatively early. But the year before that, it was way later in the season. The latest it could be, if not, week before that. But
I don't necessarily think the players like early buys like this either.
No way, man. You had a buy for months and months, then you get going, you play. At this point, the Bears are 3-1. They've got all this momentum. Then you have to take a step back, then go to Washington. But the Commanders are a good team. This is Monday Night Football again.
Monday Night Football, revenge Hail Mary game in Washington again, which, why don't you come to Soldier Field and play us? But primetime Caleb versus Jaden Daniels.
This is a loss for me. I don't think they can do it on the road after the bye. The Bears are so bad after the bye. Now, this is a new regime, so prove me wrong. But if you think it's a win, what do you think? They suck after the bye. They're so bad.
I hate this team, the Commanders, since last year. And that's the only reason.
I get it.
And it's hard for me I think they can lose the game, but I'm going with the W, and I think Caleb gets his revenge.
Okay.
I can't.
love
I'm
it.
sorry. I can't say like L against them because I hate them.
Yeah, no.
I hate them.
I totally get it, and I'm with you.
I hate that all that happened.
If it wasn't
was
after the bye, I think I'd probably say win. Truly. I'm so scarred as a Bears fan. All right, well, moving on. Saints at home. The Saints are a dumpster fire. Carr just retired.
W.
It's an absolute win, and we're moving on to the Ravens in Baltimore. That's a loss.
Loss for me as well, too. I think I'm ending. Sydney doesn't know this, but I think I'm.
That's your away game?
Well, I'm going to go to 2, but I think I'm going to go.
Baltimore's awesome. That's a really cool, like, big little city.
One of my buddies is Carter, who you know. Shout out Carter G. He's a huge Baltimore Ravens fan. So
really?
we're going to go. Yeah, I don't know why.
Well, our buddy Healy Connor lived there for like 2 years.
Yeah.
One of my cousins, Pat Irish, lives there, and is a quasi Ravens fan as a result. So like, I love the Ravens. I do. Like, I root for them.
I love Lamar.
Lamar's the man.
I love Harbaugh.
Yeah.
I think it's a loss though, but I'm going to be there. Sydney, sorry. Yeah, it'll be Friday to Sunday night, maybe Monday morning. Okay.
I think that is a loss. Moving on to week 9 at Cincinnati. Last time Joe Burrow played the Bears, he just got like sack lunched by Roquan Smith a bunch of times, but Roquan Smith's on the Ravens now. And this defense is a big question mark. We've got Dennis Allen in. It's a pretty similar system to what they were running with Eberflus, but maybe a little bit more blitzing.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Burrow doesn't love the blitz, but he's so damn good. I think for the sake of just being real, this is a loss for me.
I was going to say loss as well too, and I could flip-flop on this. I think Burrow's good, man.
He's so good.
He's good. They had a down year last year.
He's so good. He gets hurt a lot.
I say week 9 loss as well too. That's 2 in a row against Baltimore and Cincy,
but then
2
they
great
come
teams.
Home and beat the brakes off the Giants.
Week 10,
the Giants are terrible.
New York Giants against the Bears. It's at Soldier Field, noon game. That's a big time W.
That's a win. Then they go to the Vikings at the Vikings. I don't believe in the Vikings this year, and I think the Bears go in their house and win. Yeah,
I think we sweep them. I will be going to that game with my dad.
There you go. Okay.
W against the Vikings. That's 2-0 in the division.
Miko, don't edit that out. We want Sydney to hear that. Jimmy White and big game James, they're going.
We will be there. That's at US Bank. Okay, so
awesome
wait,
stadium.
we're 2-1 in the division right now with 1 loss to the Lions, and then sweeping the Vikings, which is awesome.
They don't play the Pack until later in the season. I think 2 out of 3 weeks, but we'll get to that anyway. Week 12, Pittsburgh at home.
Noon game.
I don't know about Pittsburgh. I mean, they've got one of the best coaches in NFL history in terms of just not having losing seasons. Like Tomlinson is the OG.
What about Aaron Rodgers?
No one knows.
Is he going to be on the Steelers?
But he's also not Aaron Rodgers anymore.
I think they beat him. Do you or no?
Yeah, I actually do. I think they beat the Steelers.
Was that week 12?
Yeah, and we'll just be quick. Week 13 at Philly, they're going to lose.
Loss.
Week 14 at Green Bay, I think they're going to lose.
I do too. And
so that's 2 in a row again.
I can't. I'd love for Caleb to go back into Lambeau and beat them and beat the brakes off of them.
When's the last time a Bears quarterback beat the Packers at Lambeau? Like Josh McCown or something?
Yes, I think so. It's been a long time in my lifetime. I don't want to take up too much more time on this one, but
it's a tough place to play.
The Ben Johnson, like Matt LaFleur little beef that's going on. I love it. I hate Matt LaFleur. I hate his face. I hate Jordan Love. I hate his face. I hate Lambeau. I think we go in there and I think it's a nail biter loser, to be honest with you.
Yeah. The last time, the Bears won on the last second field goal. I could see it going the other way. Both Bears games last year were decided by a last minute field goal. And of course, you remember you were there, the Packers game when Santos' kick was blocked. So that redemption in the last game of the season for him to drill that was so cool and so great for Caleb again to get a win as a Bears starting quarterback at Lambeau. But it's going to be really tough to go there and win that late in the season too.
I know.
They play Cleveland at home on 12/14, my little brother Billy's birthday.
W.
Shout out Billy. W. Easy. Moving on. Green Bay, it says TBD right now.
It's going to be a primetime game.
It's going to be a primetime game at home. They're winning.
Let me just look. They're going to win that game.
Yeah.
Let me look at our 8 dubs by week 16. If they have 8 wins by week 16 and Green Bay's coming in on a Saturday, there's 3 college football playoff games that morning. Mm-hmm. That is going to be a primetime freaking game. And Soldier Field is going to be rocking.
It's a primetime win.
So then we get to, that was week 16.
Yep.
We get to 9 wins after beating the Packers.
And this is where things get difficult because I have been telling everybody I think the Bears are double-digit winners this year. Vegas came out after the schedule release and said 8.5. So it's right in that realm again. Really quick for me, week 17, they're going to San Fran. I think they lose. They don't play very well there. They got their asses beat last year.
It was so bad. That game was so bad.
And then week 18, they come back home and face Detroit on our turf, Soldier Field. Jared Goff in the cold. It's just an absolute ass beating. It's a win.
So I'm going week 17 W.
Okay.
I think we beat San Fran.
So you're saying 11 wins. I'm saying 10. It's both.
Here's what it's going to come down to.
Or no, you're saying 12 wins because you had a. I like it. Okay.
Week 18 for the division.
Wow.
Maybe for a 2 seed. I don't think we're going to be the number 1 seed. I think the Eagles will be the number 1 seed again. I think they're just going to be that good in the NFC. I think it comes down to week 18.
But the Eagles were weird last year.
I
Remember,
know.
like Sirianni, they were talking about getting, fireable offense for some of his weird decisions, and they just want to run and win the Super Bowl. I mean, NFL teams obviously can get hot as hell or cold.
Week 18.
It's a win.
Showdown. It's going to be a showdown, dude.
Ben
it might
Johnson,
be the last game of the year.
Game too, because they're losing to the Lions at Ford Field, right?
Yes, we have them losing.
2.
We both said that. Yes, I think it's going to be one of those games that it's the last Sunday night of the year. It's the last game of the year.
It gets flexed.
It gets flexed to 7:20 on Sunday night in Soldier Field. It's going to be extremely fucking cold.
Yeah,
and it's going to be a big time W, dude. And we're going to the playoffs.
I still remember 2018, the 12-4 season that we all dream about. Khalil Mack just like eating Jared Goff in the cold multiple times.
Oh my God, what a game.
Such a good game.
So, okay, we make the playoffs. Let's run through records. We have week 1 win, week 2 loss, week 3 win, week 4 win, bye week. Me and you split on week 6, loss and W. Week 7 win, week 8 loss, week 9 loss, week 10 win, week 11 win, week 12 win, week 13 loss, win, loss, win. Let's see our record.
So I had 10-7.
And I was 11
No, you had 2 more games, didn't you?
Yeah, I was 12.
Yeah.
So Jay Webb's 10-7. Jay White 12-5. I think both of those get us into the playoffs.
Oh, for sure. Remember,
I want a home game.
That would be sick.
I want it. I want a home game.
Home playoff game didn't go so well.
No, it was bad. I want a home game. As you can see, we're super hyped up about the Bears schedule.
A lot of people are. I mean, it's a tough schedule.
Very tough.
But I just think that this Bears team is different, man.
Feels different.
The personnel,
we say that all the time, but
coaches,
it feels different.
The way that they're going to be able to scheme now that they have 2 big, good tight ends. Caleb's going to have a second, the sexiest sophomore season that we've seen in maybe since the Joe Burrow sophomore season. It's going to be fun, man.
10-7. Probably.
Did Burrow get hurt his sophomore season? Was it his rookie year was nuts?
Yes.
Well,
so
Caleb's gonna be really good.
You're 10-7 for. I think that better get us into the playoffs. Otherwise, the NFC is crazy. I think my 12-5. I'm being very optimistic. That gets us in.
Seed.
That's probably a 2 seed, and we're gonna have a home playoff.
That's a home playoff game.
All right. Well, thank you for bearing with us on that. We had to get that out because it just released. Let's go Bears. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thank you guys. That stuff is fun for us, obviously, with the Bears, but we do this more for the real estate game, and we certainly hope that you enjoyed this episode.
Thanks for all the support. Please make sure that you comment this episode. If you actually do like it, we appreciate all the downloads on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Keep watching YouTube. Keep giving
the lab-tested questions coming,
please,
too.
Please.
We've been getting some good ones, and them being anonymous, that doesn't bother us at all, right?
Not at all.
So if you want to throw something in there and you think it's wacky or it's a dumb question, just say, please don't say my name, and we're not going to say your name.
No doubt. We're going to have a guest on, probably best guest on next time, and then also somebody within the real estate industry for some nice main topics. But we will see you guys next time. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.